I'm currently 38 years old, and I wish in my early 20s I knew about these 5 communication hacks that I'm about to share with you today. It would have made me a better conversationalist when meeting strangers, it would have allowed me to crush my job interviews, and it would have made me a more confident person. I'm going to let you in on an exclusive 2-hour Q&A I did with my community last month. And if confidence is something you struggle with, then this video is for you.
Hello, good morning, Vin. I'm currently studying in grade 7. Whenever I go to a meeting in my school or I give a speech, I face one problem. I smile, but after some time it becomes shaky and I'm not able to control my expressions.
Interesting. What do you think is causing it?
I think nervousness.
All right, so in high pressure situations, it causes you to shake with your smile, right? I've heard this come up in many different ways. Some people, it's their hands that shake. Some people, it's their chest that shakes or their whole body that shakes, their torso. For some people, it's certain parts of their facial expression as well. Or even some people, they start tapping their feet. So that shaking of certain parts of your body, it shows up differently for every single person. Now you have to understand, well then, why do you shake? You already have enough awareness to understand that it's when you are nervous that it causes you to shake. Well, when are we nervous? We are nervous in high pressure situations. What happens to the body in high pressure situations? Adrenaline gets released. So when your body releases excess adrenaline, you naturally start to shake. Naturally, because again, there's so much adrenaline, it's getting you ready for fight or flight. So if that's what's happening and you don't manage the adrenaline, well then it shows up in some part of your body. And most commonly it shows up as a shaky voice, right? And for you, it's showing up as certain muscles in your mouth just slightly twitching, right? Because you're probably focusing a lot on what you're about to say. All I would say here as a first step is make sure you manage that adrenaline. The next time you go into the class presentations, don't just immediately go into the class presentation. Before you go in, the best way to get rid of some of that adrenaline is some brisk forms of exercise. In Australia, we call these star jumps, where you jump and you do these star jumps. They're not called jumping jacks, they're called star jumps. And then do 20 star jumps. Go for a brisk 5-minute walk before you go and give your presentation. Learn how to manage the adrenaline so it doesn't show up in your body uncontrollably. And then I would also suggest you, because you're feeling the shaking happening in your facial expressions, I would go through activities to really relax the facial expression muscles. So I'll give you 3 things you can do. The first thing you can do is lip trills. So before you start the presentation, as well as all the exercise, release it from your face, release the tension from your face. So the lip trills are just you doing this. And if you can't do that, you put your fingers on your cheeks and you go, try Abdul. Just go. And do that for a good minute or 2. Really warm up the articulators. The second thing you do is just make your face really big and small. Don't try to be pretty with it. You just make it really big. Just go. Looks ridiculous. And then the last thing that I'd get you to do again is just pretend you're chewing a really big piece of gum. So just imagine you're chewing a really big piece of gum. Just like, really big piece of gum. Really big. And one last time, Abdul, all you're doing here is, first of all, managing the adrenaline that lives within your body. Second thing, just stretching your facial expressions, stretching all the muscles in your articulators before you go and you use them. And if you warm up correctly, because you've managed the adrenaline, because you've warmed up the facial expressions, chances are very low at this point that you'll start to feel shaking within your facial expressions. How do I look into someone's eye confidently and not lose myself when I'm talking to them? Eye contact was one of my biggest weaknesses. I used to get so afraid of looking at people in the eyes because when I was young, very low levels of self-confidence. When I was young, I also had really, really bad acne. And then every time people look at me, I just thought they were looking at my pimples. And I felt really ugly. And I just didn't feel like I just felt like anytime anyone looked at me, it was to tease me and to judge me. So as a result of all of that, I just had really low levels of self-confidence, gave really bad eye contact. So I had to learn eye contact from scratch. And if you also feel this, and maybe you didn't have the acne or this didn't happen to you, I'm just giving you a backstory. The way I fixed it was by playing a game. And the game that I played would be a game that I would play in public. And I would set times where I could go for a walk in public, right? So I'd go for a walk in public, maybe when you're grocery shopping, when you're out in the city, whatever. And level 1 of the game is I have to catch people's eyes. And how do you catch people's eyes? What do you mean, Vin? What do you mean by that? What are you going to go catch their eyes? No. Catch their eyes meaning look at them. So look at someone. So I just look at someone, and it's uncanny. When you look at someone, inevitably, they will just feel you looking at them. They'll look back at you, right? So what I would do is I'd look at them, and then the moment I catch it, meaning they look back at me, I would just smile and say, morning. And then I'd look away and I'd go on about my day. That's level 1 of the challenge. And I used to do that all the time, my goodness, just to be comfortable with people looking at me. And I know you might be like, oh, Vin, that's so easy. Good. That's level 1, I said. So once you get comfortable with that, all of a sudden now, you're no longer afraid to look at others. And when others look at you, and you do this 100 times, the 100th time someone looks at you, it's not going to feel as nerve-wracking as the first time you did it, right? It's just desensitization. Level 2, you catch their eyes. When they look at you, you have to say, morning. Now you have to make a compliment. Now you have to give them a compliment. So you can sustain eye contact for a longer period of time. So now you look at them, they look at you. Hey, morning. Hey, just wanted to say, that's a beautiful scarf you're wearing. It's just beautiful. I think it compliments you extremely well. That's a beautiful scarf. And go on about your day. And now all of a sudden you're sustaining that eye contact for extended periods of time. Third level, it's a greeting paired with a compliment, paired with a question. Yes, question. So then all of a sudden, oh, morning. I just wanted to call out, I love your shoes. I've always wanted those Jordans. They look amazing. And quick question, if you don't mind. I'm looking for a really good cup of coffee. Do you know any places nearby that are good for coffee? I noticed you have a coffee in your hand. Could you tell me where you got that from? And is it good? And you do this with enough people, you will start to no longer be afraid of the actual eye contact. It will no longer make you feel super nervous because you've become more familiar with it. And then if you need something even more practical, there's something called the triangle technique, which is a wonderful eye contact little routine for you, where you essentially look at their left eye, look at their right eye, and then look at their nose bridge. So you just give your crazy brain something to do while it's freaking out, right? You just look at, like, again, I'm looking in a triangle right now, but you probably can't tell I'm looking in a triangle because I'm looking to one side of the lens, I'm looking to the other side of the lens now, and I'm looking to the bottom part of the lens. But you can't tell, can you? So that's just to give that crazy part of your brain something to do. Hello, Marta.
So my question is, it's more of a problem that I have with just trying to communicate with people where I have trouble keeping the conversation going. Sometimes my mind goes blank, or I feel like this awkwardness coming up and I just kind of get a bit stuck.
Why do you think it currently happens?
I think I just struggle to think of what to say.
Give me a sense of how it's currently going, and who are you speaking to in particular as well?
It would be like colleagues, for example. There would be a bit of a chat and then it would kind of fizzle out and I wouldn't know how to like continue it basically, or what to add to it.
And when you don't, what are the topics you tend to go for, or do you end the conversation?
Basically generic, just like, how was your weekend? Got any plans?
Okay. That's okay. No, and that's the ones that we all generally go for. And all that this means as well, Marta, is that it's not that you can't do it. I think a lot of people think, oh, this is something I just can't do. I'm just not good at. It's often because we just haven't been taught. Being a great conversationalist is a skill. And it's a skill any of us can learn. And I think from a foundational level, there are so many categories that you could talk to people about. You could talk to people, and again, some people are afraid to go into these topics. I'll just quickly call that out because they're not used to doing this. So when I say these topics, they're like, oh, I can't talk to people about that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can talk to people about their dreams. You can definitely talk to people about what they do in their free time, what they enjoy doing. You can talk to people about the people they love the most. Right? Who do they care about? You can talk to people about the mentors they've had in their lives and what they've learned from their mentors. What's been the most valuable lessons you've learned this year? And it's more about being prepared with what are the key topics you're genuinely interested in that's quite universally acceptable, and going into those conversations with those questions prepared. So much of it is preparation. Whereas when you try to come up with questions in the moment, while you already are feeling a little bit nervous because this isn't one of your superpowers, then you default to the classics of, have you watched House of Dragons? And then the moment they say no, you kind of go, great, cool. It's a bit hot today. And then you go, good, no, why did I talk about the weather? You shouldn't talk about the weather. And then all of a sudden it falls apart. So I think pick your top 5 questions that you want to ask others, and they have to be authentic to you, right? I would never ask people about sports because I genuinely don't watch any sports. And I wouldn't just talk about it because most people like sports, right? So I've got my go-tos. And I would spend time crafting what your go-tos are. And don't be afraid to go into... I love the question, what do you do in your free time? Because that opens up not just what are you going to do this weekend? It's like, what do you do when you have free time? And I believe that tells me more about a human being than what they're doing this weekend. Because they might just go, oh, I love archery. Oh, I love cooking. Oh, I love... And then boom, you've got a topic now that you can keep talking about. So what you're trying to do here at a deeper level, Marta, is you're trying to pull threads out from this person. And I call it conversational threading, right? So if you asked, what do you do in your free time? They might go, oh, when I can, I love doing archery. I love slow cooking on the barbecue. And you know what? I actually love baking. I really enjoy it. They've now just given you 3 threads that you can follow up on. Oh, tell me more about archery. How did you get into archery? So I have this rule when it comes to becoming a great conversationalist. First of all, I ask a question that reveals threads, right? So I ask a key question that's authentic to me, like, what do you do in your free time? That feels authentic to me. So all of a sudden, they might say 2 to 3 things. And then the moment that person says 2 to 3 things, even if they say just one, being a great conversationalist means what? I now have to ask 3 follow-up questions about that one thing. So archery. How did you get into archery? That's such a unique hobby. They then share it. And while they're sharing with me that, they now have just revealed another 6 threads. Okay? Then you got to follow up the one on archery still. So you go, oh, wow. How do you feel when you're doing archery? What does it give you when you do archery? Like, why are you drawn to it? Outside of the inspirational moment. They go, oh, because it's like a meditation to me. Oh, wow. So you seek something like archery to find meditation in. Do you find that you're experiencing a lot of stress in the work that you do? Is that why you kind of gravitate towards this? All of a sudden now, my goodness, you have such a deep conversation and you're a great conversationalist. Because a great conversationalist is curious about the person they're talking to, not just talking about themselves. And during this process, when you get really good at doing that, Marta, then something beautiful happens. They'll go, what about you, Marta? What do you like doing in your free time? And that's something you can really prepare for too. You can already have the answer in your head. And then all of a sudden you give them 3 threads, and because of the rapport you've built with them, now they're going to pull on one of yours. And then this is the beginnings of just beautiful conversations. Whereas people just aren't aware of how to unravel the initial few threads. Because the moment you unravel the first few, there are just threads everywhere. All of a sudden you can get to know your colleagues more. You can build deeper relationships with them. Because I can tell you right now, one of the key reasons why people end up leaving different workplaces is because they feel isolated. They don't feel like they connect with anyone. They feel like an outcast. People who thrive the most in their jobs and in their careers have the strongest and deepest connections to the people that they work with.
Conversational threading is so powerful because it allows you to access deeper topics with others during seemingly shallow conversations. And if you want to get better at conversations and avoid those awkward silences and be able to answer questions on the spot and avoid going blank during high pressure situations, I've recorded a free 2-hour training that's going to help you with just that, where I'm going to share with you 3 powerful conversational frameworks. All you got to do is click the link in the description or click the link in the pinned comment below to better access it.
Hello, Vin. I am a university teacher, and as much as I am very energetic and basically I have a high voice in class, I recently discovered that my social voice is of low register. So I am now conscious about it and trying to increase the volume, but I would like to ask, what's the technique to increase the volume to make it a permanent one without straining the voice?
Why do you think you shift volume when you're in a social situation?
Because in the classroom, I give it like the 100%. And then once I finish, I just want to rest. So then I go back to like the restful spirit. This is what I perceive as the reason.
So there's a component of rest. And there's also an identity thing where when I'm in front of the class, I'm almost performing, being the 100% version of me. And when I'm not, so there's a psychological aspect to it. And then there's also a physiological where I need to rest. Let's talk about the psychological component of it first. I did the exact same thing, Basil. I did the exact same thing in my life where I would show up in these virtual calls and I would give you 100% of me. I'd rock it to my class, I'd give the 100% version of me. And guess what I did, Basil, when I came home to my family? I would give them the 10% of me. Because psychologically, I thought, I'm just going to switch off now. until I had to reframe that. Whoa, hold on a second, Vin. The people you serve as your students, they're very important. But if I had to choose between my children, who I'm going to show up 100% for, and just my students, I need to also show up for my students 100%, if not more. So I had to make a shift in my head that my most important audience is everyone that I truly care about. And that high level of volume of myself, I need to learn how to sustain that so I can give all the people I care about in my life that version of me. Now, do you need to always do that? When I'm laying down watching a Netflix show with my kids, no. When we're watching cartoons, I don't have to bring the, oh, did you see that? That was no, I don't have to do that. I can go, did you see that? That was crazy. Oh my God. So again, I'm not saying you just become that all the time, because there was something in your language where you said, how do I just permanently become that? You don't want to become permanent with anything, any speaking style, because the key to being a great communicator is being extremely dynamic, right? However, I appreciate that you have this incredible impact in university and you're realizing that impact doesn't follow through. So first of all is a reframe, in that there are social interactions that are of very high importance, where you want to bring that version of you to that as well. So don't think of them as two different things. That's why I name my program Stage. Let me give you context why. The reason I call it Stage is because of Shakespeare's quote where he says, all of the world's a stage. And I believe that. Because when I wake up in the morning, the first stage I step onto is the stage of fatherhood. And then the second stage that I step onto is the stage of being a husband. And then the third stage I step into in the studio is the stage of being a teacher. So I believe that in this life, we step onto many different stages, playing many different roles. And the way we show up in all of those roles, I believe they are of equal importance. Unless you're speaking to someone you really don't really care about and you don't want to give any energy to it, then you can. Then that's when you can just go, yeah, mate, no worries. I'll have a cheeseburger with fries and a large Coke. So that's fine. That's okay. You have to pick your battles too. You can't be that for everything. So you've got to choose. So again, I think psychologically, it's important to make that shift. They're all stages. You just have to now make the decision, oh, this social stage is also just as important as the stage as a university teacher. Cool. So you make that connection. But then a problem arises, because now you go, well, how do I sustain that level of stamina? Right? And just from hearing you speak before, when a lot of people speak, they don't speak with an open throat, right? A lot of people force their voice out through their throat. And when you force your voice out through your throat, like a lot of people, when they speak really loud, you can hear strain. And that's because they're straining their throat to create that volume. Whereas for a lot of people, when you notice the different sounds that you can create with volume, all of a sudden, when I speak louder like this right now, you don't hear the strain. And that's because I'm speaking from my diaphragm and I'm keeping my throat open. So there's something in your mouth known as the soft palate. You've got to be very careful, because when you're speaking with a stronger volume specifically, you have to make sure your soft palate is open and up. And the best way to do that is, I'm going to do this to you now. You'll notice your soft palate open when you just go to that yawn phase, like, just do a loud auditory yawn. You go, give that a go. If you've never done that, it's going to give you goosebumps. You're going to feel weird. But just try it. It should be contagious if I do this. And then just go, give that a go. But when you try that, that's what a lot of vocal teachers and my vocal coaches used to always say. That's volume for free. That's volume for free. Because when you think about this, little babies, like I don't know about your babies or if you have babies, but I've got a baby. She's 1 year old. Her name's Melody. My daughter can scream at the top of her lungs for an hour, sometimes even 90 minutes, and sometimes she does it for 2 hours. And at the end of it, do you think she loses her voice? No, she does not lose her voice. But Basil, if I asked you to speak at your loudest volume possible for an hour, what will happen to it? You'll lose it. You'll lose your voice. You can't sustain that, yet babies can sustain it. It's because they're speaking from the diaphragm. When you're born as a child, you've got perfect access to your instrument. But as you grow older as an adult, you start to learn all these different behaviors like closing down the soft palate, lowering the soft palate. And when you start to do that, you now have to strain your throat to create louder sounds. And then as a result, we can't sustain it for longer periods. So I suggest practice volume for free if you want to learn how to sustain as your first step in your journey. So just practice 10 to 15 of those yawns each day. Learn the feeling of the soft palate as it opens. Build sensitivity on that. And then when you speak, you want to learn how to speak with your soft palate always towards the back, because that's how you access more volume for free. That's how you can sustain volume all day. Because let's face it, my daughter does sometimes cry all day. But there's a beautiful lesson behind that, in that level of volume, that level of energy is sustainable. It is. It's because of certain behavioral traits that have caused us to lose access to that.
My name is Pranav. I'm from California. So something I found on many interviews is that I struggle to talk in a relaxed manner. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes I just, there's a good vibe with the interviewer. But sometimes my voice is a little unsteady. And I do vocal exercises. I do like singing exercises before.
I'm going to lock onto a word that you said before, where you said, some interviews are really good when they have good vibes and then the others aren't. What do you mean by vibes?
I think part of it might come into my expectations during the interview. Like if I know a little bit about the interviewer, then I'll have some stuff to talk about. If I just check their LinkedIn and it's like a bunch of generic stuff, like, oh, they worked at this company, but I don't know anything they did.
Okay.
Then maybe not much yeah.
I believe that the vibes of a conversation, we often leave it to the other person to determine the vibe. So we often, if we join the call and they're like, oh, hey, Nav, good to see you. Hey, thanks for jumping on. Then you're like, this is good vibes. This is good. This is going to be a good interview. This is going to be a good interview. What you don't realize is that you are a part of that chemical reaction. Whereas right now you're leaving all of that power with them. Whereas you can be the bringer of the vibes. I want you to go off screen for a second. Take out your headphones in a moment. And then I want you to do 20 star jumps for me. And then I want you to come back and talk to me. Okay, and then when I come back and we turn on your microphone, we turn on everything again, I want you to give me lots of energy. I used to think that I'm just the receiver of vibes. I didn't realize that I could give good vibes. I didn't realize the power of the human instrument. And if you're sitting here right now and you're enjoying this, it's because I'm consciously using my voice to make you feel the things that you feel. Because I don't have to be doing this. I could just talk to you like this. Like I could. This is something I could totally do. Yeah, he's back in his tide. Good. Unmute yourself, and I want you to greet me again and talk to me with high levels of energy, lots of melody in your voice. And again, introduce yourself, tell me where you're tuning in from and what's something interesting about you. Say the same things, but give me more.
Hi, Vin. I'm Pranav. I'm from California. Something interesting about me is that I'm interviewing for companies right now.
Good. Okay, good. You took that from, I would say, about a 3 to a 4.5. I want you to take it to a 7. Try it again. Be too much. Don't be afraid of being too much. Most people are afraid of going through life going, oh, being too much. Be too much, because most people are being too little.
Hi, Vin. I'm Pranav. I'm from California, and right now I'm looking for jobs. I'm interviewing.
Good. Okay. I'm gonna coach you a little bit more here. You started really strong, and then you trailed off. So you did the thing that most of us do when we're learning this. It's like hey, my name's Vin and I teach communication skills and I'm really excited to be here with you for the next 90 minutes. I want you to sustain from beginning to end. One more time. In 3, let's go. You got this. In 2, go for it.
Hi, Vin. I'm Pranav. I'm from California, and right now I'm looking for interviews. I'm applying to jobs and getting interviews.
Perfect. Let's give him lots of love. You did amazing. I mean, look at you smile. Because here's the thing. When you use your voice more, you feel more of your music. You enjoy more of what you're saying. So what you just did there is you understanding that you don't have to just accept the vibes that are given. You are a part of that chemical reaction. You can bring the good vibes. Okay? Not only in your energy, but I would also do one more thing. Right at the beginning of an interview, that is perfectly okay to be a little informal with the interviewers. It's okay to be a little bit human. So I can tell you what one of the people I interviewed that I ended up hiring as my head of performance. And I interviewed a lot of people, and so many of them were so serious. And that's okay. But I ended up hiring someone who I went, oh, I really like this person. Because let's face it, in business, we do business with people we like, right? People are always biased towards the people they like. Likability is a very important skill. And do you know what he asked me? The first question he asked me was, and I thought it was just brilliant. He was going, hey Vin, before we kick the interview off, can I just ask you one question? If I looked through your Spotify playlist, who would be the most played artist? And it's because he genuinely loves music. So he asked me that question. I'm like, you know what? I've done so many interviews today. That is so refreshing. And I go, if you look through mine, I'll be slightly embarrassed because it would be the Backstreet Boys. And all of a sudden, his vibes were good in how he showed up with his communication skills. His vibes were good in the question that he asked me. The rest of that interview, amazing. Whereas so many of the other interviewers, and again, they were so qualified, they were just as good, right? However, their questions were, no, Vin, I don't have any questions as we begin. Where would you like to start off? And then immediately went into listing of credentials, immediately into talking about strengths and weaknesses. How would you deal with this particular situation? While they said all those things right, I didn't feel connected to them. So I just want to encourage you, if as a software engineer, you started a conversation and you can craft your own questions going into this like that, and you started with something like that, it shows personality. And now you're going to win on likability. It's one of the very strong determining factors for a lot of people as they start out their careers. You did great. That version of you that you brought just to me now, oh man, you made me feel so good. The last thing I'll say here to all of you is that we often think that the only thing we have to offer the other person we're talking to is the information, the knowledge, or our technical abilities. You're wrong. If the only thing you get from this is tactical information in how to deal with nervousness, if the only thing you get from listening to me here is a list of instructions on how to improve your communication skills, then I've shortchanged you. I've shortchanged you. And if that's the only thing you give others, then you're shortchanging other people. Because when you speak and when you communicate, you can make others feel inspired. You can make others feel happy. You can make others feel a sense of joy. You can make others feel motivated. There is so much more that we can give our fellow human beings every time we open our mouths and we speak. Yet we think the only thing that I'm giving you when I talk is information. This instrument is capable of far more than you've ever imagined.